Hello and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Empowerment Empire podcast show today. So today we're going to be chatting with Cecilia, and Cecilia is a speaker, coach and trainer. So she's based in Western Canada, but working with people all over the world, and that's exactly how we connected. We connected online. Obviously I'm here in Scotland and Cecilia's over in Canada, so we connected online, and after chatting with Cecilia, I invited her onto the show so that she could share with us a little bit more about what she does and how she's creating positive change in the lives of others. Because here at the Empowerment Empire, that's what we're all about. It's our mission to serve thousands of women around the globe who are ready to shine and step into their greatness, and we're all about empowering people to create positive change in their life and business. So I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Cecilia onto the show, and we're going to find out a little bit more about what she does. So welcome to the show, Cecilia.
Oh, thank you, Lisa. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
No problem at all. We're delighted to have you. And I'm really looking forward to you sharing your journey with the listeners, because I think that they're going to be really intrigued by how you have come about where you are now. So, but before we go on to all the questions that I've got lined up for you, why don't you just tell our listeners a little bit about you, who you are, where you're from, your background, that type of thing?
Oh, sure. So when I think about who I am, I always think about where to start because I don't want to tell the whole history. But I was born in Zimbabwe, which is a small country in Southern Africa. It used to be called Rhodesia. It was a British colony. Mm-hmm. And got independence in 1980. So I was born there, grew up there of my parents. My dad is originally from South Africa in the Durban area. He came to Zimbabwe, then Rhodesia, married my mom who was Zimbabwean, and went to school in Zimbabwe, and went to the University of Zimbabwe, and my first degree was a Bachelor of Arts honors in philosophy and religion. So I really enjoyed studying there, and then focused on education afterwards. One of the things that I would share with you, Lisa, and maybe I didn't share in our chat before, was that when I was in high school, I was taught by the nuns, and really was inspired by how these women, they were coming from Germany, England, Scotland, and other countries, but they were so much dedicated and committed to our lives as young people. Mm-hmm. And they inspired me in terms of thinking about service and say, how can I also do this for my own people? Look at these ladies, they've come from so far away and they're so committed to my life. They're not related to me, so how can I be of service to others? Mm-hmm. So that thought sparked me to actually joining the nuns. So I was in the convent with the Dominican nuns for about 10 years. So the prime of my life, from 18 to 28 years, I was in the convent. And it's something that I really have cherished in my life, because looking at life and purpose, it's like I needed to be there to know who I am, to grow and to learn how to be of service. And then I changed my mind and thought I wanted to reach the bigger world. And so I decided to leave the convent and then leave the country Zimbabwe, and then migrated to Canada, which is now 17 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I learned so much with the nuns. And then when I came to Canada, it was a different continent, different weather conditions. It's very cold in Western Alberta. It's right now lots of snow and minus 20.
That's colder than Scotland. There's not many.
It is. Yes, I love Scotland. I love it. Scotland is a beautiful place. I would love to go there one day. Yeah. So Canada is beautiful too. It's just the cold is different. The weather is different in the winter. But that process of immigrating and moving to Canada was not an easy one, in the sense that I felt like I had to learn everything anew. From the language, there is French. I came from an English-speaking kind of country. And when I landed in Montreal, I didn't know any French. And to how I regularized my stay here in Canada, learning to drive the other side of the road, learning to drive on the snow, learning to eat different food, learning a whole different culture. So that had a great impact on me as a person, because it actually shook my confidence from when I was in the convent. I always joke about, I was the celebrity nun, because I was, cause I used to do a lot of things. I was on television. I was the go-to person for things like when people needed somebody to speak in public, because that was one of the strong things that I always did. I presented information. And so coming here when nobody knew me and I had to learn a new life, it was a struggle for me. And this is what intensified my goal to say, how can I help others who are going to go through this journey, and so that they can do it with ease rather than struggle like I did. So that inspired me to start an immigration consulting business, because I also studied law. So when I came to Canada, I did two things. I went for my master's degree in political science, and then I studied law. And so I wanted to make use of all that, my first degree, my master's degree, my law, and what can I do to, help others. And so in doing that, doing immigration work, then I got inspired, because I do work full-time too for the government of Alberta. And in my job, I coach and train leadership development. We are a giant employer of about 100,000 people, and we have about 3,000 leaders in the organization. And so I deal and work with leaders every day. And so I said, how can I bring this and mesh it to the things that I'm passionate about? I'm passionate about, service from my young age. I'm passionate about, helping people navigate systems and areas, and I'm passionate about growth and leadership. So then I went to yet start another consulting business as a speaker, trainer, and a coach. So I joined the John Maxwell team so that I can actually enhance those competencies in speaking, in coaching, and in training. And so this is the second business that I do. So people ask me, hey, you have a job, you have two businesses going on. Do you have a life? This is my life, because this is something I'm passionate about.
Yes, I was going to ask you the same question. How have you got time for yourself? But I believe that, just as you said there, like when it's your passion, you always find the time. It doesn't feel like it's work, or there's nothing tedious or challenging about it. When it's your passion, you absolutely love it, so you do it regardless anyway. So wow, fantastic. So obviously there was a few. What would you say was the turning point in your life or your career, when you decided, when you knew this was a time where I'm going to, what was the ultimate turning point when you started your journey as an entrepreneur, would you say?
Yeah, that's a great question, Lisa. I think for me, the turning point was, there came a time in my job, because my job is good, it pays well, where I felt I wasn't actually making a difference. Okay. It is a job where you do things in a certain prescribed way, and because you work for someone, but I wanted to feel that at the end of the day, when I come home, I have made a difference in someone's life. I have been a person of influence. I have been, as you say, that positive change in someone else. So that was the turning point for me to say, what was the passion I had as I grew up? What led me to want to go to the convent and serve people? And I'm not feeling that I'm doing that now. So what can I do to change that and rekindle my original passion? And so it was that turning point 3 years ago in my career of working for an organization for 12 years now, to say, no, I I want to do something where I feel I make a difference.
Yeah, yeah. So how do you create positive influence or positive, change in the lives of other people? What is your mission?
My mission. So
Yeah, or
yeah,
how you create influence with others.
yes. Yeah, so in the coaching, speaking, and training business, where I have really seen that positive influence and change for people. So if I talk about my coaching, training, and speaking business, it's I have had a great privilege of coaching people who are at different spaces in their life. People who had given up on life, people who didn't see hope, people who had lost their job and their life is crumbling before them, or people who are actually working on their business and doing well in life and want to be doing greater than good, right? So just, being that person to hold their hand, to go to be side by side with them. So from a coaching perspective, we don't tell people what to do with their lives. We don't give them answers. It's being that sounding board, being that person that facilitates them to discover the answers within themselves. And so when I see that, when a person has moved from this current state, which was really bad, they given up hope, they given up on life, and to a better state where they feel now that they have a purpose in life, they want to do things differently. That is what has been as fulfillment of, this is my mission and this is what I have always wanted to do. I'm glad to see that this person is, and you get that in the feedback from the clients when they say, you've been a lifesaver, or even that just things like my relationship has improved because of this experience that I had with you. That just brings that satisfaction of, yes, this is the positive influence that I've been hoping to give to other people.
And do you specialise, Cecilia, in kind of certain areas of coaching, or for the people that's listening in, what type of people do you work with?
So in the areas of coaching, I work with people that just want to discover that potential with themselves, within themselves, and want to start businesses, or they want to start a different trajectory in their life or in their career. And I also work with people who are leaders in their own organizations and businesses. And these people kind of, they're looking to ground themselves. Because leadership is such a broad area of, there's so much there, and people are like, how do I become an effective leader? And for me, the people that I've worked with, it has been starting with, let's start with yourself. Who are you? What's your purpose in life? And when you're at home with that, when your cup is full, so to say, only are you able to go and lead others. And so that's the journey that I have worked with some people. So those are the people in the coaching area. In the speaking area, I've been privileged to be invited, because of my political science background, to panels where it matters. So for example, I have published articles that I've been invited to go and present on. One of the ones that I'll highlight is an article that actually looked into how the use of women, abuse of women in conflict zones as a weapon of war. It's not an exciting topic. It was a very difficult and I struggled with the content when I was looking through some of those areas, but it's something that the world is looking at. So at levels of the African Union and the levels of the Security Council for the UN, what can we do to influence change in terms of protecting women? Because the laws are in place, right? So that's where my legal background comes in. Most of the countries that I researched and I found this happening, they do have the laws in place, but it's the application that's missing. And so what can we do as a global community to actually make sure that people do protect women? They don't use women as weapons of war. So this is something that I presented in a high panel And when I did my presentation, it was one of the turning points in my speaking career where I needed to say the things that data showed, and the audience were a little defensive about, how come you tell us about these things? Is this not exaggerated facts? But it was interesting how they turned around when I showed them that as long as we continue to deny that there is a problem, we cannot fix it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the key ones that I would highlight in my speaking. I think a lot of the speaking opportunities that I've had was more about people were curious about, hey, you were a nun, really? And, and tell us your experiences and how are you using what you learned in the convent in what you are doing now. Oh, wow. Oh, you moved from Africa to Canada and you came and did all the positions that you're doing in your job right now. So tell us how that experience was for you as an immigrant Black woman coming to this country, which is a very different country and culture. Mm-hmm. And also from, hey, you deal with leaders every day. And because at one point I had 100 people reporting to me in a very distributed geography. What is it like to lead virtual teams? And how can you be effective in doing that? So these are some of the things that I have been able to talk about.
Yes, you are certainly a woman of many, many talents, Cecilia.
Thank you. Thank you.
I was actually going to ask you, when you were obviously just talking about all of that, I would like to ask you what you believe to have been your biggest struggle in your journey so far. So whether that be, your personal journey or your business journey, what would you say has been your biggest struggle?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Lisa. I think my biggest struggle has been two-pronged. So personally, because I'm a very driven person, mm-hmm. My biggest struggle has been just reminding myself to balance that life and knowing that I can't be all things to all people. Mm-hmm. Yep. Because in my perfect world, I would love to be that. Yes. And I realized that I cannot be that. So I do my best, mm-hmm. and the rest will take care of itself. Mm-hmm. So that has been one of the struggles. So, and then the one tied to that has been that because I'm so passionate about life, due to my experiences before, like I shared, I'm really passionate about seeing everybody excel, seeing everybody become the best that they can. Mm-hmm. I had to learn in my journey of dealing with people that I cannot make anyone do anything. Mm-hmm. I can only inspire and only recommend or suggest. Mm-hmm. And so that was learning for me, because I come from a place of I want to fix everything for everyone. Yeah. So it was a growth experience for me. So those have been struggles in the sense that it's an internal churn, you know what I mean? It's like, something that was a drive in me that I needed to come to terms with and say, Cecilia, you are one person, you can only do so much. Yep. One step at a time, baby steps, and also trust that people, the universe, and everybody will do their part.
Yeah. So on that note then, what advice or what top tips could you share with our listeners about how to overcome, perhaps if they're experiencing similar struggles to you, or they may have experienced similar struggles to you? What top tips have you got for them that will allow them to move their life or their business forward in the right direction?
Yeah, so my journey has taught me three things. Okay. So this is what I would share with people. The first one is, and there's a lot of content and literature that speaks to this, and I'll put it in my simple terms of understanding. Okay. Our minds are very powerful. Mm-hmm. And so whatever I focus on in my mind, and I've seen it in the book The Secret. Mm-hmm. The Secret has inspired a lot of people because it talks about the law of attraction. Yeah. That thoughts become things, like attracts likes, and so whatever we focus on in our mind is what is going to become for us. And so that's, for me, is one of the tips that I want to share with people out there, that in order for us to be where we want to go, that was what I told myself. I believe I was born to do great things, and great things in terms of knowing who I am, my purpose in life, and influencing others. That's my mission. And so for everybody, that's whatever they focus on in their mind is what is going to become. And so that's tip number one. So focus on the positive things, focus on where you want to go, not what you have been, because that you cannot change. And then when you do that, you're going to see things happening differently in your life. And then the second tip that I want to share with people is that we look at other people for the sake of inspiration, not comparison, and say, I'm not doing as well as so-and-so, I'm not as beautiful as so-and-so, because then that again is going back to our minds in terms of when we feed ourselves negative things like that, it's not going to help us go forward. So being at home with who I am, I tell myself every day, I'm a beautiful Black woman. I have a lot of talents that God has given me, and I am good the way I am. I'm inspired by Oprah Winfrey, but I don't have to be Oprah. I'm inspired by Lisa. I love the Scottish accent, but I can't be that.
Yeah.
I have to be Cecilia, and I think I have a beautiful accent in my own. So it is about accepting who I am and love that in celebration, not in competition, and find inspiration from others, not compare myself to be, I can only be good enough if I am so and so. So that's the second piece. And the last thing is that I think that the last tip, that I have seen things work for me when I'm grateful and giving. The things that I've mentioned as gifts, who I am, the talents, the experiences I've been privileged to go through, the businesses I've built, the jobs I've held, I am grateful for that every day. But not only just that, but even the basic things of, I can talk, I can hear, I can see, I can walk. These are things we take for granted, but gratefulness is something that actually propels us forward. And then with that that I have, I need to be able to give. So giving is actually something that allows me to get back. So those are the things that, for me, my journey, I have learned those three things: the power of my mind, what I focus on is positive, being grateful for who I am because I'm great, and then being able to give and or to be grateful.
Yes, and you absolutely are great. I totally agree with that. Yeah, but gratitude, absolutely. I totally agree with all those, the top tips that you've just shared, because I feel I've got the same views as you, and I believe that that's probably one of the reasons that we connected online, because energy, what we're putting out there, we're attracting back, and we're attracting like-minded people to work alongside, to spend time with. So I'm a firm believer in everything that you have just shared with the listeners. So fantastic. I love that. Is there anything else that you would like to add before we round off our interview? What about, because I have no doubt that there's going to be listeners that's going to want to reach out and connect with you, Cecilia. So what is the best way for them to get in touch with you?
Okay, so the best way to get in touch with me is by email, because I think it's easier for most people. And my email that I have, Lisa, I don't know if there's a different way of sharing it, but I can give you the easiest one here.
What I could do is if you send it to me, I can put it into the show notes for the recording, and then people can just, anyone who's listening and who wants to reach out to you, they can click on the email and it will take them straight to you. How does that sound? And you can
that sounds good, because you know how spellings and stuff, then emails don't go through. So so I'll share with you the email, and then my phone number for those who are capable of phoning is it's a North American, so code number 1, and then 780-933-2529. So that's my phone. I'm on WhatsApp. I am on most of the ways that people use different apps on the phone. I'm on Facebook as well. So there's different ways of getting hold of me depending on what's easy for people.
Excellent. And I'll include the links to your social media, etc., in the show notes for the recording as well, so that they can connect with you that way if that's easier for them.
That would be great. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very, very much. But have you got anything, sorry, Cecilia, anything else that you would like to add in before we round off?
Yeah, no, just, a shout out to a lot of people who do a lot of good work out there, including yourself, Lisa. Really appreciate the work you do. I think as a woman, I do have a heart for what we do as women, and I like to support a lot of us who are doing different things to make our world better. And as a human being, I consider myself, now that I've been displaced a little bit, because I don't know whether Canada is home or Zimbabwe is home, I kind of consider myself as a global citizen. And I've been privileged to travel to a lot of places: Asia, Africa, Europe, America, Africa. So I kind of see one thing that I want to leave with people here is that there's a lot that actually brings us together than those things that separate us. As human beings, I see that we want the same things. We want to be loved. We want a sense of belonging. We want to be successful. We all have red and white blood cells. So I think that as human beings, if we focus on those things that bring us together more than things that separate us, we will have a better world.
I love that. And what a perfect way to end the show. They're absolutely beautiful. And I'm going to be carrying that motto forward as well from now on. So thank you so much for that. That's lovely. Well, thank you so much to Cecilia for coming on the show today and sharing her incredible journey, knowledge and experience with us. I'm sure you will agree it has been fantastic and extremely interesting listening to Cecilia and her journey. So thanks once again. And if you would like to comment, if you enjoyed the show, then pop your comments below, and remember to share it with your family, friends, colleagues and business buddies as well. So have an incredible day, everyone, and we will catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you, Lisa.
Thank you.